Hey, welcome in, peeps. It's me again, doing another random video. I know in my next video I said it was gonna be the Trails to Daybreak 1 and 2, but I'm still getting footage together and all that jazz. And, you know, as somebody who is just now learning how to, download and edit videos, it's gonna be a minute. But, you know, I figured why I'm doing these and getting used to speaking into, well, speaking to you guys, but speaking into air for me because there's no feedback. I figured I'd get used to it by, of course, still playing this mode. I was supposed to be doing all the tutorial stuff in the last video, but I have to learn to like talk and play at the same time. Probably what This is probably an editing trick that content creators do when they do discussion videos like this. Actually, I know they do that. They're not live playing a video game when they're discussing topics. This is what you will be seeing would be footage that would be pre-recorded and chopped up and edited, and there'll be me doing the audio log or whatever you want to call it on a separate file and mashing those together. That is what the pros and people who know what the fuck they're doing. I know that, but I'm still learning. So look, we're doing it. We're doing it live, not live, but the phrase, we're doing it live. We're jumping right into the fucking pool. No kiddie pool allowed. Right into the deep end. Let's go. But no, see, I had a topic in my mind that I wanted to discuss, and now it's gone. Now that I'm doing this, I probably should start scripting videos so I don't have so many uhs and blank pauses. But you know what? I keep this short and sweet. I list a gripe of mine. You know what? For the longest time, the Keeley Awards, I somewhat defended. The whole thing is that, it's pretty much a Sony show. And I always fought against that, begrudgingly, because everybody's first pick that if anything goes, you're a bot if say I like Game Pass, or you're a pony if you say like, hey, I like Ghost of Yote or something like that. It's a little bit more nuanced, and sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's literally just those two phrases that'll get you labeled that. But anybody that has some sort of sense, it'll take a little bit more than that. You would actually have to like defend price increases from both sides. Anyone telling you that the PS5 Pro should have been, that I would pay more for it, or it was cool being at the price that it is, or a better example, anyone telling you that the PS5 is great, that it hasn't been reduced in price, that it been increased in price after 5 years, that would be a pony. Or anybody who refuses to, acknowledge the faults, like when, PlayStation shut down their Japan studios and moved to California. I will forever be against that move, because to me, even though technically you could say PlayStation changed around the PS3 era, which the gaming industry kind of did as a whole, I mean, this is anecdotal, but for the most part, up until, let's say, the PS2, the middle of the PS2, video games were primarily dominated by Japan, and Japanese games. And I'm not here to start the debate whether Japanese games are better than Western games. All I'm just saying is we saw a cultural shift around the PS3 era, and PlayStation as a whole, Sony as a whole, saw a huge change when they went from the PS3 to the PS4. Now, there's probably a lot of factors to that. You got to remember, PS3 launched horribly. How you going to launch 3 separate base model consoles, each at different model prices, and your highest one being, at the time, you got to remember, this is back in 2006, $600? I don't have a converter in front of me to tell you what that would be now, but probably about $800 now if you're lucky. But regardless of the case, if that wasn't bad enough, you know, you got freaking the CEOs telling you, hey, if you can't afford one, get a second job. Bro, that is not how you treat your consumers. What are we doing? And I get that's old hat, but this is during the PS3 era. It launched horribly, it getting his butt kicked by the 360 up until around they finally, cons- you know, remodeled the PS3, and that was around 2008. You know, in the beginning, towards the middle of 2008. I know this because won't get into that, but I bought mine in 2008. And they got rid of all the extra gigabyte sizes that nobody was going to buy because it had no space. And if you did buy it, you bought it because you couldn't afford the one that they wanted you to buy, the $600 model. They got rid of all that. It was one PS3 model. I think it had one standard gig size. I don't remember that, but I just know they got rid of all the extra models, made one model, set everything else in stone, remodeled the console, and that's when it started picking up sales. That's also when a lot of games started coming out too. Uncharted 2 was coming out soon. Uncharted 1 had came out. So they was starting to pick up their stride. But then, come 2011, the hack that everybody references, the hack that killed everybody's online and you couldn't go online for like 3 months, like the entire summer. It was wild. So yeah, the PS3 had a rough start, very rough start. So I can understand some changes when they went to the PS4. What is this? But, none of those changes, I believe, needed to kill the Japanese studios, kill off pretty much their AA projects and say we only wouldn't work on AAA products and move from Japan to California, completely annihilating their Japanese culture. Now, I understand Sony's a global company, but they started in Japan. It'd be the same thing if Microsoft decided we're going to move to China and completely kill off, our AA studios and our heart of our brand, or Xbox, I should say, the heart of our brand of Xbox, and completely flip the script and adopt, whatever's going on in the East. That's what Sony did. you know, on top of, making people pay for PlayStation Plus online, or making that required so you can play online, I should say. Because PlayStation Plus you always had to pay for, but you didn't need to go online. That was if you console war, that was one of the best things about it, is that you got free online. Well, nope, not anymore, PS4, as anybody watching this video and into gaming now understands and knows, now you need PlayStation Plus to play online unless you're playing selective games like Warframe, Final Fantasy 14. I want to say Fortnite, but I don't play Fortnite, so I don't know. I'm pretty sure there are other games, but those are the two games that I know: Final Fantasy 14 and Warframe. You don't need Plus to play online, but you pretty much need Plus to play online, and they upped the price of that, I think, twice. I know they did once. I'm gonna have to fact check if they did it again. I know they did it once. If they did it twice, then Xbox tax is real, right? But going back, I don't want to say I defended the Game of the Year awards. I will say I was more devil's advocate, because I just didn't want to jump on a bad rag and like, oh well, he's a pony and blah blah blah. Unfortunately, that all changed last year, and I can no longer defend that Because how does Astrobot win Game of the Year? And last year was stacked, bro. I'm not going to go through all the list of games because even some of the games that were on the list were BS. I'm not going to shoot down Balatro, but I know a lot of people were mad about that. But screw about that. What is DLC doing in the Game of the Year slot? It was wild. It was freaking wild. And Astrobot won. And it took it 3 months to come up with the sales that Sonic Generations made in a day. I want you to think about that. Sonic Generations, when it came out, made over 1 million in half a day. It didn't even reach 24 hours, and they were already past 1 million. I don't even like Sonic Generations, and I can tell you that was at least going by sales, well more well received than Astrobot. Astrobot may be a wonderful game, you know, maybe wonderful. What is this? But nobody bought it, you know, or at least, you know, it took them 3 months for people to buy it to get up to 1 million sales, and that won Game of the Year. So as of now, I can no longer defend the Game of the Year award, at least not the big one that everyone pays attention to, the Keeley Awards. How could I? You know, Astrobot won in a year that it probably wouldn't have even hit the charts. So, like, you can miss me. So this year's going to be interesting, and I bring all this up because we're coming close to the Game of the Year awards now, and it's going to be interesting because the only first party game that Sony's came out with this year. Actually, no, that's not true. They had Helldivers, and then they had Ghost of Yotei. You know, it'll be interesting to see if Ghost of Yotei even makes it up there. I'm not a huge fan of this particular game, but Expedition 33 is slated to win, in my opinion. Everyone loves the game. It is a decent game, not one of my favorites for reasons I get into, maybe never. But for those who know, you know. But that, you know, probably should end up getting Game of the Year, you know, just on the sure fact of hype alone. What are we doing here? Oh, this is not a mode that I should be yapping about while I'm trying to like play. Oh well, whatever. Oh, I see. This is pretty much like Universe. Yeah, these are people's things, you know, and I can like use them, but I don't want to use that. Even though my girl Castrus is up front, but they got characters I don't use. See, recommended strategy. So these are things that the game is telling me I should use. But I don't know. I think this would be interesting about the Game of the Year awards because, like I said, I think Ghost of Yotei is a decent game. I don't think it's Game of the Year material. I'm still playing through it though, to be fair. You know, I think I got about maybe I want to say 20 hours into it so far. I have not been diligently playing it. No. When I started playing it, I was still going through Trails to Daybreak 2. And even though I did take a little bit of a break from Daybreak 2, I finally went back and finished it. Phenomenal game. Again, review is in the works. You know, it's kind of funny. And maybe it's because I just got introduced to the Legend of Heroes series like last year, earlier this year. So maybe my perception and my opinion doesn't matter much to like the people who have been with the series for like ever. But the consensus that I've been getting from like all the reviews that I have seen, there's not a lot of them because not a lot of people play Legend of Heroes. You know, Black Bomb being one of the content creators, along with Mr. Matty Plays, they play them, but I don't think Black Bond has ever reviewed them. Matty Plays has. Actually, was the first videos I've seen about Daybreak. But yeah, everybody that I've seen that's reviewed it did not like Daybreak 2. Now, I say this as in they didn't say it was a bad game, but they did all of them did pretty much agree and said it's their least favorite Trails game. You know, and I don't know, maybe what they have has merit, but I just finished the game, and keep in mind I'm pretty much a tourist in the series. I just got into it, and Daybreak being technically my first game in the series. I've played Cold Steel 3, or was it 3 or 4? It was 4. It was 4. But I'd never finished it because I didn't understand what the fuck was going on. So like I never really went back to it. And if I'm being honest, at the time that I like played it, I was kind of a graphics whore. I just got done finishing or I was comparing it to Tales of Arise, which is a beautiful game. Kind of meh story, but game looks great. So like it was kind of an unfair comparison to be fair, you know. So I couldn't really get into it. But after playing through Daybreak 1 and 2, I'll be going back to the rest of the series. I got the remake of Sky, so I'm gonna be playing through that. So yeah, but like maybe it's just because I'm a newcomer to that particular JRPG franchise that I think the game. I don't think Daybreak 2 is that weak. I will tell you this: Daybreak 2 solidified my purchase of the part 3 that's coming out next year. That is a day one buy, full stop. So look, this has been using Ichikawa again, doing another, not really a test run, just kind of a rambling video. I'm not going to ask you to like, comment, and subscribe because I don't think I've earned that yet. Let me earn that from you guys, but, appreciate you staying to the end of the video. I'll catch you guys later. Again, live life, play video games, eat ice cream, take your favorite snacks. No stress. Stress is too much. You only live once, man. Peace. Oh.